Dear students, today we will discuss experiment number 8 from System Software and Operating System Lab. So the aim of this experiment is design, develop and implement a C or C++ or Java program to implement Banker's algorithm. Assume suitable input required to demonstrate the results. So here you have to design, develop and implement a program in either C or C++ or Java. So here we consider a C program to implement Banker's algorithm. So in one of my video lecture I have discussed about the Banker's algorithm, because we have this part in the theory also in the operating system. So mainly this Banker's algorithm is used to deal with the deadlock. So here we have the concept of checking the safe sequence or the safe state of a system, and if the system is in safe state, then there is no possibility of deadlock. If the system is not safe, so we have the concept of or the possibility of deadlock there. So that's what we have to implement here, and to demonstrate, so let us assume the suitable input. So now we'll see the program itself. So this is a C program to implement the Banker's algorithm. So although it looks like lengthy, but it is very easy to understand. So this is the aim, that is you have to design, develop and implement a C, C++ or Java program to implement a Banker's algorithm. Assume suitable input required to demonstrate the results. Okay. So before we start discussing this Banker's algorithm, just for reference, I have with me the slides which I have used for discussing the Banker's algorithm. So the slides are here with me. Okay. So here for the Banker's algorithm, so we need some data structures. So this is just a recap, the same thing we discussed in the video lecture as a part of theory while discussing the Banker's algorithm. So here we take n as the number of processes, m to hold the number of resource types. So we have these particular data structures. So in our program we have implemented these as arrays. So available, so it's an array of length m. Max, it's a two-dimensional array of size n by m. Allocation, it's a two-dimensional array of size n by m. Need, it's a two-dimensional array of size n by m. Okay. So now come back to program. So here the program, at the beginning we have to include stdio.h header file. So after that, to hold the information of process, we have declared a structure here. So this is structure definition, that is struct process, and the data members are int all of 6, means this is an allocation, max of 6, the max matrix, because see actually it's a matrix 2 by 2, but here the process information is stored separately. So that's why we have implemented here a single dimension array. So we have need, it's again to hold the need information, the matrix. After that finished in simple variable, request of 6 to hold the request, and C of 6. So after this here we declare one structure variable p, an array of structure variable, that is p of 10. So here p indicates process, and every process will have the values for these particular data structures. So after this these are again some more variables that we require in this program. So int avail, this is to store the available matrix. S sequence, that is seq, that is to hold the safe sequence. After that ss, a temporary variable, check1 equal to 0, check2 equal to 0, m, n, pid and work. This is again a matrix of size 6. So your program starts with the main function, the void main, and in the void main at the beginning itself we call a function that is saveseq. So we have a function that is save sequence, in short it is saveseq. So we call this function at the beginning itself, that is saveseq void, return type is int. Okay, so that's why before we start discussing the remaining lines, so first let us see what is this saveseq function. Okay. So this is the body of the saveseq function. So actually what this saveseq function will do is, so it will carry out the first part, that is we are going to implement the safety algorithm in this function. So what this safety algorithm will do, so let work and finish be the vectors of lem and n respectively. So first we initialize work is equal to available and finish of I equal to false for all the processes, that is from I to 0 to n minus 1. The second step is find an index I such that both finish of I is equal to false and need of I is less than or equal to work. If no such I exists, go to step 4. Okay, and if there exists a particular value of I for this conditions, the next step is work equal to work plus allocation of I, and after that we have to write finish of I equal to true, and we have to go back to step 2. This should be done. So after that, whenever it comes to 4, we have to check whether finish of I is equal to true for all the values of I. If for all the values of I, finish of I is equal to true, then will be the conclusion that the system is in safe state. So this is how the safety algorithm will work. So let us see how this safety algorithm is implemented in our C program. Okay, it is possible. Okay, so see here int, we have taken some variables here again, that is tj, tk, I, j and k. So after that here we have one more variable ss equal to 0. Okay, so after that we have a for loop here, that is for j equal to 0, j less than m, j plus plus, work of j equal to avail of j. So already we have the particular array, that is avail, which will hold the information of available vector. So we have to initialize the work with available. So this is the first step, work is equal to available. So this is implemented here, that is for j equal to 0, j less than m, j plus plus, work of j equal to avail of j. So after this, next we have to implement this one, that is we have to write finish of I equal to false. But here what we have done is, for every process we have the data member in the structure as finished, and to indicate false we write 0, and to indicate true we write 1. Okay, so we have to initialize to false, means we have to add 0. So it is for j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus, p of j dot finished equal to 0. So you may ask me the question like, sir, here in this for loop it is for 0 to m and here it is for 0 to n, because here m indicates the number of resources, and for all the resources we have to initialize the work of that resource equal to available, and here the finish is for the processes. So we have n number of processes, and for all n number of processes we have to initialize the finished equal to false, that is 0. So after this, the next step is here, so we have to go for the second step. So for that, here we have taken one more variable just to avoid the confusions. So for tk equal to 0, tk less than m, tk plus plus, means for every resource. Then for j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus, means with respect to every resource we have to consider all the processes. So what we have to check, we have to check whether p of j, means that particular process, p of j dot finished equal to 0. So we have to check whether finished of I equal to false. Okay, so again the second condition is we have to check whether the need of that process is less than or equal to work. So for that Here we taken one variable, the check1 equal to 0, a temporary variable, and after that we have one more for loop here for k equal to 0, k less than m, k plus plus. So here what we check, if p of j dot need of k is less than or equal to work, the same one, whether need of I is less than or equal to work. So that's what here, but we have to consider this for all the instances of the resources. So that's why here we have taken one more for loop for k equal to 0, k less than m, k plus plus. If p of j dot need of k is less than or equal to work of k, so we increment the value of check1, that is check1 plus plus. So that's why after this, once the for loop is completed, we check the value of check1 here. So if check1 is equal to m, m indicates the number of resources, means here if it is true for all the resources, then only the check1 will be equal to m, because check1 is initialized to 0. So that's why if the condition is true for all the resources, then only this condition is true, that is if check1 is equal to m. So if this is the case, what we have to do, for k equal to 0, k less than m, k plus plus, work of k equal to work of k plus p of j dot allocation of k. So that's what this one. So if there exists a process here, that is I, so for that process we have to implement this one. So this is implemented here, that is if check1 is equal to m, means there exists a process that satisfies this particular condition. So in that case we write for k equal to 0, k less than m, k plus plus, work of k is equal to work of k plus process, that is p of j dot allocation of k. So that's why work is equal to work plus allocation of that process, that is allocation of I. That's what here, allocation of that process, that is pj. So after this what we do, so we write finish of I equal to true, means finish value of that process I is equal to true. So here we have taken it in some different way, that is p of j, means that process j finished equal to 1. So this is like assigning value true. Okay, so after this we add that j to the shape sequence, because we came to know that that process is in the shape sequence. So that's why we satisfied this particular requirement. So that's why we simply add that particular process number to the shape sequence. So that's why the shape sequence of ss equal to j. So ss is again a temporary index variable which is initialized to 0. So here now s sequence, that is shape sequence of ss equal to j, and after this we increment the value of ss. So this is continued for all the instances of the resources. Okay, so this is repeated for all the instances of resources as a part of these two for loops. So once these two for loops are completed, so next we will come back here. Once the execution of these two for loops are completed, we take one more variable, that is check2 here, which is initialized to 0. So after that what we do is, so we again visit this one. So after this the next step is we have to check whether finish of I is equal to true for all the I. All I means for all the processes. If finish of I is equal to true, then we will be in the conclusion that the system is in the safe state. So that's why here what we do, for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Here it is n. N means for all the processes what we do, if p of I dot finished equal to 1, means this is like asking, this is like checking whether the finish of I is equal to true for all the processes. Okay, so here if p of I dot finished equal to 1 for all the processes, then we'll simply increment the check2 by 1. Okay, so here that's what here each time we have to do this, remember. So for I equal to 0 also, if it is equal to 1, we have to increment check2. For I equal to 1 also, if it is if the condition holds, we have to increment the value of check2 and so on. Okay, so that's what here, if in order to ensure that the finish of I is equal to true for all the processes, what should be the value of check2? So this check2 should be incremented for all the values of n, means it should be equal to n. or greater than n sometimes. So, okay, so that's why after this, after the completion of this for loop, we check the value of check2 here. So if check2 is greater than or equal to n, so we display this one, that is printf the system is in safe state, because here the finish of I equal to true is true for all the possible for all the processes. So that's why here if this condition is true, we display the message as the system is in safe state. So after this we have to display the safe sequence which is present in this array, that is S sequence. So that's for that we have this for loop again. So for tj equal to 0, tj is less than n, tj plus plus. See, we have taken so many different variables for the for loops just to avoid the confusion. Okay, so that's why here for tj equal to 0, tj less than n, tj plus plus, printf p percentage d s sequence of t of j, because here in s sequence we have just stored the numbers. Okay, so that's why here we, after this p, we add that particular number to indicate whether it is p0, p1, p2, p3, so on. So this will be executed, and after that it will return 1 to indicate the successful execution. This is if the condition is true. If the condition is not true, we have to simply display the message as the system is not in safe state, and we have to return 0. Okay, so in this way the safety algorithm can be implemented in the form of the save sequence function. So after this, again come back to our main function. So here I think we were discussing this void main, and after this we saw this, that at the beginning itself we call this save sequence function to check whether the system is in the safe state or not. Okay, and accordingly we update the different data structures. So after this, again we need these variables, that is int ch to read the choice. After that I equal to 0, j equal to 0, k, pid and ch1. So after that we take two more variables here, that is vcheck equal to 0 and wcheck equal to 0. So here we use a do while loop. So it starts from this do, and it goes till while ch is not equal to 4, means here this will continue to execute until the choice value is equal to 4, that is ch. So here we have to display the menu. So for that we have this printf. So we display 1 for input, 2 for new request, 3 for safe state, and 4 for safe state or not checking, and 4 for the exit. So after that printf enter your choice, scanf %d &ch. So we read the choice in the variable ch here. So after that according to the value of this choice we use the switch statement here, that is switch ch. So case 1 is for the input, means to read, to get the input from the user. So here input means we have to update all the data structures that are required for your bankers algorithm. So we have to read the values of these particular data structures. Okay, so that is what we done here, that is printf enter the number of processes, scanf %d &n, we read the number of processes. So printf enter the number of resources, scanf %d &m, we read the number of resource types. So after that printf enter the max unit of each resources. So for this we have for j equal to 0, j less than m, j plus plus, scanf %d & avail of j. So we read this the values of this available vector with respect to all the resources. So that's why the for loop will go from 0 to m. So after this we have to read the max matrix. So for that, see, although in our program we have taken one dimensional array for max, but it is with respect to a process. So that's why here in theory we discuss this as a matrix of n by m, where m is the number of resources and n is the number of processes. But in our program we have taken a separate structure to represent a process. So that's why with respect to every process we read the value of max. Okay, so that's why in our program also to read the max matrix we have taken the two for loops here. So the first one is for j equal to 0, for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. This is for the number of processes, and with respect to every process we have to read the max values for all the resources. That is, for j equal to 0, j less than m, j plus plus, scanf percentage d ampersand p of I dot max of j. So by this we'll read the max matrix. So after this we have to read the allocation matrix. So for that again we have the statement here, that is printf enter allocation matrix. So for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. For j equal to 0, j less than m, j plus plus, scanf percentage d ampersand p of I dot allocation of j. So this is again a n by m matrix, but in our program with respect to every process it's a one dimensional array, that is allocation of j. So in this way so we read the values of these data structures. Okay, so after reading this we have to calculate the fourth one also, that is need. So this is not something to be read, this is to be calculated by using this formula, that is need of ij equal to max of ij minus allocation of ij. So the same thing we use here. So here after this, for I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. For j equal to 0, j less than m, j plus plus. So we write p of I dot need of j equal to p of I dot max of j minus p of I dot allocation of j. So this is same thing, that is need of ij equal to max of ij minus allocation of ij, that is p of ij equal to p of ij need of ij equal to max of ij minus allocation of ij. But here as per our conventions or whatever the data arrays we have declared, we have the statement in this way, that is p of I dot need of j means the value of need for the resource j with respect to process I is equal to, this is written as need of I comma j, where I is process and j is resource. So here also I is process and j is resource. This is equal to p of I dot max of j. So we have to read the value in the array max with respect to process pi. So it is max of ij, means here process is I and resource is j minus p of I dot allocation of j. So this one allocation of ij. Okay, so after this again we have to update the value of available, because once you allocate the p of I dot allocation of j, so this is to be subtracted from the available. So it is avail of j equal to avail of j minus p of I dot allocation of j. So this is the first case, that is to read the input from the user. So after this we have the second case. Second case is for the new request. So whenever a new request comes from the process, so what all things we have to do. So this is the actual Banker's algorithm. So this is there here. So whenever a resource request comes for the process pi, so these are the steps that we have to follow. These already we have discussed in the theory part, that is we have to check whether the request of I is less than or equal to need of I. If this condition is true, we have to go for the next step, that is step number 2. Otherwise raise an error condition since process has exceeded its maximum claim. Okay, and in the second step we check whether the request is less than or equal to available. If this condition is true, we will go to step number 3. Otherwise pi must wait, because whatever the request that is requested by the process, so that number of resources are not available. So that's why until the resources are available, the process pi must go for the waiting state. And in the other case, means if both the conditions are true, that is if the request is less than need and the request is less than the available, then we have to allocate that particular requested resource to process pi by modifying the corresponding data structures, like available equal to available minus request, allocation of I equal to allocation of I plus request of I, need of I equal to need of I minus request of I. And after this we have to check the save state. Okay, so let us see how this is implemented in our program. So in case 2 we have again these two variables plays very important role here. It is v check is equal to 0 and w check equal to 0. So whenever a new request comes for the process, so we have to read the process ID of that process and what the new request is. So for that, first we display the message as requesting process ID. So printf scanf %d ampersand PID. So we read that process ID in this variable PID. So after that we have to read the new request. So for that we have printf enter the request of the process. So to read that we have for j equal to 0, j less than m, j plus plus, scanf %d ampersand p of PID dot request of j. Okay. So here itself we read the request, and along with this we check whether if p dot PID dot request of j is greater than p of PID dot request of need of j. So with respect to every resource, after reading the request for that resource itself, we check these two conditions for every resource. So that's why here after reading the value of request of j, we check whether the request of j is greater than the need of j, means here whether this condition is false. If this condition is false, we update the value of v check equal to 1. Okay, means what it indicates, if this condition is false means the process has exceeded its maximum claim. Means here need means initially every process will be indicating the need, means how much amount of or how much instance of resources the process will be requiring. But here by this new request it is going to violate, or it is going to request the size that is not specified in the need. So that's why here if the request is greater than need of that process, then v check is equal to 1. So later we display the suitable message here. Okay. Similarly, in the same for loop only, with respect to the same resource, we check this condition, that is if p dot PID dot request of j is greater than available of j. The second one, whether this condition is false. If this condition is false, that indicates presently whatever the resource that the process is requesting, it is not available. The process must go for the waiting state. Okay, so that's why here if p dot PID dot request of j is greater than available of j, so we update the value w check equal to 1. This indicates the process must go to the waiting state. Okay, so after the completion of this for loop, we check the condition, we check the value of this v check and the w check. So if v check is equal to 1, what it indicates, printf the process exceeds its max need and it is terminated. Else if w check is equal to 1, what happens, printf the lack of resources, process state is wait, means process must go to the waiting state. Okay, else means if both the conditions are true, both the conditions are false. Okay, so in that case the request is less than the need and request is less than the available resources, then we have to grant that resource to requested resource to the process. So for that, in the else part, we have to grant the corresponding resources to the process PID. So for that we have this for j equal to 0, j less than m, j plus plus, avail of j equal to avail of j minus p of PID dot request. So after that p of PID dot allocation of j equal to p of PID dot allocation of j plus p of PID dot request of j. So after that p of PID dot need of j equal to p of PID dot need of j minus p of PID dot request of j. Means what happens here, available initially the available matrix was holding the available instances of j, but here now you have allocated j instances to process PID. So that's why we have to subtract the j number of instances from the old value of available, so that we will get the new value of available for the resource j. Similarly here in the allocation matrix, so we'll be having the information of how many instances are allocated to the corresponding process with respect to every resource. So here you have allocated j number of new instances. So that's why to the old value of allocation we have to add the new value of this request to update the allocation matrix. Similarly, need means this will indicate how many instances of the resources are required for the every process. So here for this process PID, out of the need, here j number of instances are allocated. So that's why from the old value of need you have to subtract the new j number of instances to get the new value. Okay, so that's what that is stated here in our program, in our algorithm also. That is, the first step is, if the two conditions are true, available equal to available minus request. This is implemented here, available equal to available minus request. Second one is allocation equal to allocation plus request. Here it is allocation equal to allocation plus the new request. After that, need equal to need minus request, need equal to need minus request. Okay, so after this we have to check the safety. So for that we call ch1 equal to safe sequence and we complete the program. So we complete the second case. So in this way you can decide whether the new request is to be satisfied, to be allocated or not for the process. So after that we have the third case, that is the safe state or not. This is simply to check whether the process is in the safe state or not. So for that, in the case 3, already we have seen this particular function, that is safe sequence, which will check whether the system is in the safe state or not. Okay, so here in case 3 we will simply call this function, that is if safe sequence equal to 1, if the value of this one is equal, because here if the system is in safe state, then only it will return the value 1. If it is not in safe state, it will return 0. So that's why here also we call the safe sequence function, and here we'll check the value of this equal to 1. So if safe sequence equal to 1, so printf the system is in safe state, else printf the system is not in safe state, and break. But here one thing you just observe, in the function safe sequence also we are displaying the message as the system is in safe state and system is not safe, and here also we are displaying the message as system is in safe state and system is not in safe. So that's why whenever you perform the third choice here, that is to check whether the system is in safe state or not, the same message will be repeated. If it is in safe state, the same message will be displayed 2 times. If it is not, the same statement will be displayed 2 times. Okay, so here to overcome this, what you can do is you just take off this particular line, no need to display here, you have to just return the value. Okay, so in this case, after this for loop printf we return the value 1, and in the else part we just return the value 0. Okay, so if you do this, so you will come to know that whether the system is in safe state or not. So after this, case 4 is to break. Okay, so this is to exit from the program. Okay, so in this way you can write a C program to implement the banker's algorithm. Hope all of you understood this particular program. Okay, so now let us run this program. So we'll go for execution, compile and run. Okay, so it is displaying the menu here. 1 is for input, 2 is for new request, 3 is for safe state or not, 4 is for exit. Enter your choice. Okay, so initially I will enter the first choice because I have to enter the input. Okay, so after this it is going to ask the number of processes. So what I will do is, so I will consider the same example which we have considered while discussing the concept of banker's algorithm as a part of theory, in the theory video. Okay, so here in this example, so we had 5 processes and 3 resources. Okay, so here it is asking the number of processes, so I will enter as 5. Okay, so after this enter the number of resources. How many resources? 3 resources we have. Okay, so after this enter the max unit of each resources. Okay, max unit of each resources means here we have to enter these things, that is how many instances of first resources are there? 10. 5 instances of second resources and 7 instances of third resources, the initial resources. So after this we have to enter the max matrix. So max matrix is already available with us, so you have to just enter this one. Okay, so what is that matrix? It is 7 5 3, after the 3 2 2 9 0 2 2 2 2 4 3 3. Okay, so after this we have to enter the allocation matrix. So allocation matrix is here. Okay, so it is 0 1 0 2 0 0 3 0 2 2 1 1 0 0 2. Okay, so this is to enter the input. So after this again it is going to display the menu, so we have to check whether we have to perform the remaining things now, remaining options. So after entering this input, let us check whether the system is in safe state or not. Okay, so for that I have to enter the third choice number 3. See, the message is the system is in safe state. So as I told you, it is going to display the message 2 times. Okay, the system is in safe state, and it is also displaying the safe sequence. That is, safe sequence is P1 P3 P4 P0 P2. Okay, so let us see whether the same answer we got in our theory or not. Okay, so here it was see here, the system is in safe state since the sequence P1 P3 P4 P2 P0 satisfy the criteria. So here the sequence is P1 P3 P4, after that P0 P2. Okay, I think okay, it was here. So this is here, this sequence is for the new request. Okay, so there is a slight mistake here. Okay, because this one and this one, see here, you consider this one now, P1 P3 P4 and P0 P2, P1 P3 P4 and P0 P2. Okay, so executing the safety algorithm shows that the particular sequence is correct. Okay, so after this what we'll do, so we'll try the second choice, that is choice number 2 for the new request. So let us consider the same example. Here the process P1 request the resource 102. Okay, so here the ID of that process is 1, so the resource request is 102. Okay, so again see, the system is in the safe state and the safe sequence is P1 P3 P4 P0 P4, that is P1 P3 P4 P0 P2, the same sequence. Okay, so in this way you can write a program to implement the Banker's algorithm. Hope all of you understood this particular program. So try to execute this program on your own, and in case if you find any difficulty or any doubt, please feel free to ask me anytime. Thank you.